Hey guys, hopefully, well, still, as you can see, we're still working out some kinks here today, but that was hopefully better than some of the ones before. That's all I know. We're in the process of continually growing, continually changing. Hey, James Keys is in the house today. How are you, sir? Thanks for stopping by. For those of you who are here for the first time, etc., welcome. My name is Jay. And basically, what we do here, or what we're going to be doing, is continually building you so you can build your business. That's been the idea at the end of the day. Because this is a unique time, I believe, for all of us, to be honest, in so many ways. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, do me a favor. Inside the chat, write the word first, F-I-R-S-T, first. So whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook, whatever, just put the word first in the chat. Also, because some of you, maybe you're here because you were wondering, you know, what exactly is this all about? Cashflow Diary, what we normally do is we train, we teach, we help individuals become well, entrepreneurs, for lack of a better way of putting it. We typically focus around the real estate world simply because that is where my experience lies the most. And we focus specifically on short-term rentals. And for those of you who desire to learn more about that, you can go to cashflowdiary.com/learn live. Again, that's cashflowdiary.com/learn live. What we're going to talk about today is actually what I wrote in the title, where I said good, fast, or cheap. Choose two. There are a number of ways that that thought process applies not only to your business, but to your life and to everything that is happening for all of us. Plus, we've been talking a lot this week specifically about managing our expectations in terms of, well, how fast your business gets started, because we talked about the J curve, how fast you have the ability to actually gain a skill, which also applies the J curve as well. So we have a number of things that we want to make sure that we talk about as we continue and as we go forward. One more thing. For those of you who are on Facebook, if for some reason you are not on our Facebook page, you're going to want to make your way over there. So that's facebook.com/cashflow diary live. Facebook.com/cashflow diary live, and you'll be able to get there. We are currently, I think today we're at 5 locations. I think tomorrow is where it's going to be even less. So to make sure that you are in the correct location, so to speak, you want to make sure that you get over to facebook.com/cashflow diary live, and we will continually be there to serve you. So make sure that you get there as fast as you possibly can, so that you don't miss any of these. Anyway, we're starting to enjoy it. We're starting to get to the point to where it feels like, okay, I think we might actually know how to actually keep doing this in some way, shape, or form. So it's pretty good to figure these things out, right? 1, 2, 3. I think we covered all of the bases, so we might as well go ahead and get started with what we were going to be talking about today. So in the title, also for those of you, if you've got questions, as you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat as well. So don't forget, because towards the end we will come back to those questions, or we will come back to the information that you guys are putting in the chat and be able to, well, hopefully answer some of your questions and kind of go from there as well. All right. The 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I was just moving something on my screen to make it easier for me. Now, with everything that's going on, I don't know about you, but maybe at least this week, or the current news cycle, if you will, has been all about how fast, quote unquote, things can get back to normal. And that is, I don't know, I find that interesting. I find that expedient. I find it also, to some degree, feels too soon to be talking about things like that. However, one of the things that's important to estimate is to understand is the impact of the coronavirus on your business model, on my business model, on all of our business models, right? Because there is an impact, right? And with that, to being able to figure out how to pivot. I mean, I'm just curious, do me a favor, put a little hand in the chat if in the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks, you've heard an entrepreneur of some kind use the word pivot. Just a little hand emoji in the chat, because my suspicion is that there's a number of us who have heard that term more than they would like to have heard by now, and yet at the same time, you could even be wondering, like, well, how do I pivot? Is there a way to pivot, etc.? And we can talk about that as well. So, but yeah, put a hand emoji in the chat, because I'm just curious if you heard the word from somebody, the pivot, because I have a feeling that was not the first time you heard it, and yet sometimes we don't talk about how do I do that? How do I effectively make a pivot for my business, for my life, for me, for what have you? And one of the reasons I think it's important to understand that is to put ourselves in a position to, well, first, or at least a frame of mind to know that a pivot is possible, right? But anytime we are considering or evaluating a choice, okay, any choices, and it doesn't even matter what type of choice, it just matters that you are making a choice, right? When we are making a choice, and again, it doesn't matter what kind of choice, it just matters that it is a choice. Oh my goodness, it's flashing. Jasleen, can you give me some water? My it's flashing, but I don't have any water in it. Thank you. So, anytime we're making a choice, the part of that choice is to figure out, what's going to be best for us. So what I had mentioned was very simple, or simple in the sense that part of what we're choosing between is we are always choosing between something that is, I'll say it this way. Well, that didn't work. Wonder why. I have no idea. Because you can't see me. There we go. I was like, where'd I go? All right, so what we're choosing between is good, and I'll use the word cheap, and fast. Almost every choice, this is what we're talking about. So let's look at this for a second. Let's look at your choice of, let me do it this way. Thank you. We'll do it right here. Good, fast, and cheap. And okay, so then we have, let's talk about the food you eat, right? And here's what this ultimately means. Typically, there are times where we want good food. When I say good in this particular case, I'm saying good not necessarily in taste, but we'll say beneficial for your body, nutrition, etc. Right? A lot of us want good food. Well, awesome. Now, do you want it fast or do you want it cheap? Because here's how this works. If you say, well, I want good food, but I don't want to pay a lot for it, then it won't be fast. But if I say, hey, I want good food and I want it fast, well, okay, no problem, then it won't be inexpensive. And then you could also say, well, right now I just want the food, I want it right now, and I want it inexpensively. Well, okay, great. Then it won't necessarily be good, right? And when you are making these choices, this is something that each of us has to evaluate as we go through this time of change. the choices that you are making, you only get two of them, right? When you're doing business with a company, you only get two of them, right? So think about it. Let's do it again. We'll do say internet speed or your internet service provider. Okay. Now this isn't about who's good. It's just in general. If you want good internet, reliable, 100% uptime, or the 99 and the 5 nines percent, but you want it inexpensive, then you know it's slow. You know that. That it's not even, you don't even question it. It's just what it is. Okay, well, cool. Well, I gotta have fast right now because now I'm working at home and it's gotta be reliable. Well, then you should be prepared to pay some more because that's what it's going to take in order for that to happen for you. And this is true for every product, every service, every choice, cars. Should I go to the gym? Which gym should I go to? Do I buy exercise equipment? What about a microphone? What school do my kids go to? Man, should I go to, understand. This has always been at play. It's at play today. And it's important because, and I wanted to bring it to your attention because when we are in a hurry sometimes, we don't necessarily we want something fast, and we often make fast, cheap decisions that are not good. That's what I was going to say. It's fast, cheap decisions that are not good, which is part of the reasons that I have concern when they were talking about opening up the country and all this other stuff faster. And that's fine. I want it open, obviously, but I don't want it to last longer than it has to, if that makes sense. Because there are other places in the world that are already going through a quote unquote second wave, which is where I don't know if you guys may have heard me say before, there's only two ways to do things. Right, that's one way, and then again. That's it. You can do it right or you can do it again. Your choice. And where there are certain things that are just not worth doing again, so you take the time to do it right, which usually means it doesn't happen fast. I'm saying all of this to say that as you continue to push, life forward and adjust to the change, or I will say crisis, that's probably the word that I think fits the best. I definitely want to make sure that that's something that you understand, that every one of your decisions has this rock, paper, scissors effect to it, okay? Now, I've got two more things that I want to talk about, or at least go over. But before I do so, again, if at any time you have a question or if there's something that you've learned or something that was helpful in what I said, by all means, make sure you put that in the chat as well. What I want to do, oh, that's a little off. Oh, no, it wasn't. Okay, it was perfect. All right, so what I want to show you, though, is a couple of sites that I found that I thought that would be good for everyone to know about. Because during the time of pivoting, I want to show you some examples of what businesses are doing, okay? Because and how they will eventually profit, and more importantly, these are examples that you and I can follow as well. So what I've done is I've gone over here to clarksdeals.com because there are currently, at least according to this article, 20 companies that are offering healthcare workers free food, apparel, lodging, and more, which is great. Sorry. So what does that mean? When we're looking at this, we have many different options of, we've got choices again, right? It's the good, it's the fast, it's the cheap. So if it's free, first of all, free, one of the things that is decided is that it is at least monetarily inexpensive. So some of these places I've never heard of, but apparently healthcare workers can get free pizza in stores or via text. at a place called And Pizza. Maybe you live near there. This one I thought was kind of funny. Krispy Kreme, through May 12th, is offering healthcare workers dozens of free dozens of its original glazed donuts. And I'm just sitting, I don't know, that one. Does anyone like me find that one ironic? I mean, don't get me wrong, Krispy Kreme donuts are good. And for those of you who like Dunkin' Donuts, get over it. Krispy Kreme is better. Anyway, but what I'm going to say is I find that one to be funny, that you're offering healthcare providers free donuts. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. But there's a number of businesses who are doing this. Now, what they're doing isn't free, right? So the donuts aren't free, the food isn't free. In fact, as many of you guys know, or may not know, but Airbnb, there's a special program currently in existence that they call open homes, and it happens anytime that there's a disaster of some kind. But there you can have your locations be certified, qualified, appeared in a special section. And again, many obviously we did this, and many of our students have done the same. But the point is that maybe you don't know this, right? Maybe you don't know, and now you can share. But see, these are all choices that businesses are making: good, fast, or cheap. From the consumer side, the choice is perceived as cheap or inexpensive or less expensive than normal, right? So the question, what you're really deciding when you're looking at a bunch of free food like this one, I don't even, someone tell my wife about this one, because this is probably something she'd actually take advantage of in some way, shape, or form, or at least let more people know. She likes Tropical Smoothie Cafe. That's why I'm mentioning it, where they are donating 100,000 smoothies nationwide to healthcare workers and first responders. And, there's a lot of things that are coming. From the consumer side, the choice is good. It's always good, fast, or cheap, but it's either cheap, which means free, or inexpensive in some cases. So you're choosing between, is that good or will it be fast, right? Is it good or will it be fast? I don't know about you, but in our area, fast has totally been destroyed when it comes to like ordering food, right? So since you now know, or at least I now know, that we're waiting, it's like, okay, will it be any good, right? Even think about Amazon for a moment. There's been obviously inexpensive in a lot of cases, but has not been fast, especially recently. So I know the things that, excuse me, the things that we've been getting from them, we've been opting for things that are typically of a little higher quality, because we might as well wait for the good thing, if that makes sense. So that there's a lot of that going on. Also, something that I think is worthy of just mentioning in general is that you've got companies like Hilton, and Hilton partnered with American Express. And basically what they're doing is they are making rooms available to frontline medical professionals as well, which I'm like, well, that's useful, that's helpful, that's great, that's obviously needed. What I do find very ironic is that this is what Hilton is doing. Their number one adversary, if you will, on the other side would be Marriott. Marriott has chosen to primarily close locations right now. So I find this as an interesting move. Now, from the business side, this is not a cheap move. These are not cheap. They are very, very not. And are they good or are they fast? So here's why this is also important from this side, is because when you are looking at, or considering in this particular case, the choices from the business side, sometimes you will make an expensive choice, but for a longer term purpose. These moves are all around marketing. They're all around market share. They're all around, hey, we are still here. Hey, we can help. Hey, we are building goodwill. Hey, I am making a deposit into the community so that we are here, you know our name long term. On many of the travel boards and sites that I frequent, I've seen in the conversation around how people are responding to these corporations and how they're doing it. Here's why this is important, and here's the lesson for us. What is it that you can do right now that maybe you don't get paid for it today, but would be perceived and or received as an investment? Because if you can, what you want to do is you want to build, obviously, repeat business. When it comes down to that, what is it that you can do that's going to, quote unquote, build repeat business, if you will, with your spouse, with your kids, with your friends that you are socially distant from, or sorry, physically distant from? What is it that you can do to make these deposits, investing in the long-term health of the relationship? That's what you're seeing. They're making a very, very expensive choice. And the number one thing they're going to do is make sure that you have a good experience, the best experience that they can, which means they know the return will not be, quote unquote, quick. And this is the thing that we, again, have an opportunity to do. This is the thing that gives us an ability to have an edge, if you will, in the marketplace, is to see lessons from larger corporations. What are they doing? Why are they doing that? Because most of the time we only consider it, or maybe you only consider it from the consumer perspective, right? But now, given the way the economy is going, many of us are going to discover or rediscover or discover to a deeper level the joy of self-employment, the joy of business ownership, the joy of providing jobs, not just taking them, and being able to build your business on these principles that have worked for quite some time make all the difference. But most importantly, it begins to help you, and this is the thing, this is why I've always said this, begins to help you develop your muscle of generosity, the muscle of and understanding reciprocity. Because what it comes down to is that the people that you serve as a business owner, you must be willing to be generous to them in some way, shape, or form. That's what you have to do. That's part of it. A business owner must be more generous, probably the most generous person in the entire economy, right? And typically, that phrase comes out as in the business language, it'll say, let's go gain market share, because that's basically what's happening. Hilton is working to gain market share against Marriott. So since Marriott is closing their doors in the sense of shuttering down hotels and not doing programs like this, then what can we do? And Hilton said, I know, since we're going to, quote unquote, lose money, we might as well take that money that we would have ordinarily lost and put it in, quote unquote, marketing. But let me tell you why they'll also gain here. Because when you are considering your pivot, what's going to change, or how does that change affect your business, it means that there are certain, in this case, specifically hospitality, let's just say that we are going through a completely different cleaning procedure than we used to. And that means they're going to be better trained faster, so that when travel returns, specifically business travel is what I'm referring to, but when travel returns, what it'll be is they'll be in a better position to serve their customer because they will have already practiced. This is also why, that same thought is also why it's a perfect time to go and build a business right now, because now you can gain market share for less money, and not only are you gaining that market share, you're also practicing the new thing, whatever the new thing might be. Maybe it doesn't even matter what the new thing is. Understand, one of the, I can't even know about to say it, but in a weird sense, I think one of the best restaurants, or sorry, I just gave it away. One of the best businesses to start right now, like if you could, I mean, outside of like the accommodation, short-term rental space, I think that is going to be crazy nuts, especially on the other side. And outside of that, the other thing that I'm thinking about is what would be good is a restaurant. Let me tell you why and why now, very specifically. Because when all of the existing restaurants were built under the old paradigm of dining in. They had that as a component. Foot traffic mattered. The seating area, the ambiance, all of those things. That was like part of it. And that's not to say that that won't still be a thing. But think about starting a restaurant that was absolutely designed around the current economic environment and, social norms of being physically distant, of not having more than 10 people in a location, of just think about that. The efficiencies from starting from there, you would have such a great advantage, right? You would have such a great advantage because more of your startup capital would go towards the thing that mattered. Maybe it's quality of food or being able to spread your ability to service a greater service area. Who knows? When you start with a completely different reality, because that's what we're talking about here, you can make you'll make different decisions. Now, ultimately, I never want to sacrifice good. Like when you're making these choices, I don't like sacrificing good. Hopefully you don't either, but I'm actually kind of curious. Of the three, good, fast, or cheap, which one do you typically choose? Do me a favor, type that in the comments. And maybe what you do is you choose it based upon a category. You're like, dude, when I'm thinking about entertainment, it is always cheap. And it is always cheap and fast. Okay, great. Or when I'm thinking about my vacations, they're always good and good and cheap. So I don't know. It takes me a long time to put them together. Okay, great. But I'm curious to know, and like, which ones do you tend to slant towards? I know for me, I slant towards what I perceive to be good. Like, my daughter, one of them, she has a Chromebook, and I just can't reconcile the fact of $200 computer being good. It just doesn't work in my head that that's a possibility, probability, or is even it can be done. So it's one of those things that I don't know. Maybe I'll have to get over it or something. But at the end of the day, good is the thing, right? That matters. My wife likes to say things like, we are not rich enough to afford cheap things. So she's always on the good side too, which is great, right? That's just where it is. But in a lot of cases, it's the first thing that we choose. So good absolutely is, like I said, good is important in my world. And sometimes there are different times where you can prioritize, other things. Sometimes, like, for example, right now, sorry, for those of you who weren't here like on day 1 or 2 or first week, what this is accountability, making sure I drink appropriate amounts of water. It flashes, and sometimes you'll see it flash, but most of the time I try to have it sit off screen. And I've got to make sure that I can continue to consume the correct amount of water. And you should too, but most importantly, during elevated times of crisis and stress, sleep and water are some of the 2 basic things that we can all do. All right, so when it comes down to making choices about everything, one of the things that we can do is make sure that we fundamentally choose good. I like to choose good, but it's also important as you're building your business, building you, building your family, building whatever, that becomes something that you've communicated to your people, to the people on the team who are helping the objective move forward. Nonprofit, profit, for profit, doesn't matter. Are we a good? Are we inexpensive? Like Walmart is clearly on the cheap side, everyday low prices, right? That is like the first thing they're going to choose. In fact, they are cheap and fast. That is what they do. Cheap and fast, which doesn't necessarily mean good and or quality, right? Just doesn't. So just understand that that's the choice that they made, and there's no right one, wrong one. There's a market for all of it. It's just something to consider as you go out there in the marketplace, continuing to build you as you build your business, right? So when it comes down to it, though, it's individual and it can be circumstantial. For example, right now, a lot of companies, mine included, we're making fast choices that are expensive. Fast choices that are expensive. But fast is very important because we are wanting to gain market share, right? So we're making fast choices that likely cost a little bit more because one, you may not even have the same number of vendors to choose from, but good matters especially. So these are the things that we all get the privilege of deciding. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look through the chat because I'm curious to see what you guys are talking about or may have said. For those of you who joined a little bit later, understand that we will be on our Facebook page, 8 a.m., and also on YouTube at 8 a.m. tomorrow as well. So you will definitely be there for that. And then, what was I gonna say? Oh, for those of you who are looking for the short-term rental information, we have a special training that is coming up next week. Next Wednesday. Sorry, I just realized it's literally 7 days from right now. So 7 days from right now, here's what's gonna happen. Over 2 days, I'm gonna break down the entire business model of short-term rentals. Even if you've never started, never considered real estate, have no desire, to have it take a long time, we're going to give you a ton of information in a very condensed amount of time. So that means get lots of sleep. That means get some water, get some notepads and out, because we're going to go through a lot. We're going to be going live multiple times. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. But if you want to get registered for that, you can go over to cashflowdiary.com/learn live. Again, cashflowdiary.com/learn live. Because, yeah, a lot of things have changed as it relates to short-term rentals. I know that. You know that. Well, come find out what that is, especially if that's information you want to know how to leverage in your favor. How to leverage in your favor. So, also for tomorrow, so that you guys know, what we are going to talk about is how to pivot, right? There's an actual process, believe it or not, evaluation process. And then I've also run across a document, if you will, that will assist in the questions you should ask so that you can build the new version of the business model that will exist. Because here's the thing. Where did it go? I'm trying to remember. I've got notes everywhere, which is part of the fun and challenge all the time. Is this it? There it is. So yes, because there are 3 stages, right, that we're all going through, or that every business is going through. And I think you're starting to see that, especially on the governmental level, right? There's a during the crisis phase, there's the right after the crisis, and then there is the new normal, right? There is the new normal. We are square in the during the crisis phase, obviously, right? Because that's just what's going on. It's still going. And then we are, uh, I wouldn't say rapidly approaching, but we are making our way to right after the crisis. Think of that as the moment you go, okay, that's over. And then the transition to new normal. Now, they're not distinct, but there's all there. Uh, and we're going to talk about how to pivot throughout those three phases. So make sure you come back for that, which means if you're on YouTube, hit the like button as well as subscribe and the notification bell. And if you're on Facebook, you want to get over to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary Live and make sure that you hit the like button for the page as well. All right. So let's see what you guys have been chatting about. Whoa. Stephanie says, day 15. Yes, I know. We're halfway done. So for those of you who don't know, the significance there is that it was a challenge to myself as a part of a continual set of challenges that I said, hey, have I given my all? Have I done everything? And, well, there we are. Hey, LaShawn, how are you? Mr. Keys, how are you? Hopefully things are going well. And I see they even have an emoji for liking the, okay, sorry. That's funny that we have an emoji for the mask. I didn't even know that was there, but okay. And thanks for liking the stream. I think Sean just did that. I saw that. Hey, Annie, thanks for sharing as well. Hey, Chris, how are you? Nikki is here. Yep, I love it. There is no getting back to normal. There's only accepting and creating the new normal. And I am with you 100%. My one desire is that we would create it with intention, not by default, not let it happen to you. What I hope is that you are out there. This is helping you to get up every morning and do it. Tony says, always good. Oh, my wife would appreciate that. Always good when it comes to food. Totally understood, Tony. Gotcha. Always good when it comes to food. Indeed. I wouldn't dare want to rob you of that. So, yes. In fact, I've got a number of friends who are that way too. Mm-hmm. It says, this is the second day I've been listening on Facebook and the signal keeps getting interrupted. Do you suggest watching on YouTube? Yes, we do actually. That's part of what, Cheryl, that's part of actually what happened here is because of the increased usage of everyone on the internet and then the increased usage of live streaming and the increased usage of live streaming specifically on Facebook. That's why you've heard me repeatedly say, we were previously broadcasting to 7 different locations and we were cutting it down. And we've been trying to give people time to get over to the Facebook page or get over to the YouTube channel because that's where it's going to go down to 2 places and that's where it's just going to be, right? That's just where it's going to be, especially for all of the public stuff. And then the private group stuff, like what we were talking about for next week is going, once you register, you get the link for where that's going to be. So at the end of the day, it's going to be in 2 places. And yes, YouTube is better equipped for all of this live streaming stuff. So yes, 100%, I agree. 100%. Megan, good vibes. What's that? Happy Wednesday. Yes. See knowledge. What industry is not coming back? Well, here's what I will say. All of them are not coming back because that implies, or at least the way that thank you, Christine, for doing that. Thank you for subscribing. I still need to fix the YouTube notifications. That is way too small. Remember what I said, you can't learn and look good at the same time. I'm still learning, but we'll get that right. Thank you for subscribing. What industry is not coming back? It's all of them, because to say that something is quote unquote coming back implies that it may not change. There is no industry that will not change. they'll all be different. Now, will they be and this will make more sense, especially after tomorrow when we go through the questions you have to ask yourself in order to pivot. Every company, every industry has to pivot. Some are pivoting under duress, meaning they are overloaded with work and business right now, but they still have to pivot. Some are pivoting because they lost a lot of business. And so there is nothing is going to be like it was, or rather like you remember. That is now a memory. It only belongs in the past. What will be created is a new version of the thing, the 2.0, 2.1, 2.4 version of the thing. What's important to know is not so much which industry is coming back as much as what industry do you want to influence on its way, quote unquote, back? How can you contribute to that, to make it happen, right? Because one of the things that I think a lot of people have come in contact with is the reality of a single point of failure and how painful it is when you have a single point of failure related to your supply chain, right? Business, if all of the manufacturing is in one spot, we have a problem. Or the single point of failure related to your income. If you only have one type of customer. So think about this. There were, especially for what we do, there were a lot of individuals who said they have an Airbnb business. Okay. One, I've always said that that's not accurate, but let's pretend that that's the case. By saying that, that typically means you have one customer acquisition channel. Well, what happens if that acquisition channel or the customers who use that acquisition channel primarily go away? You now have a problem. Or you like I said, you have one source of income and maybe it was a job. Maybe you've been there for a long time. Maybe it was a ginormous company that you could never foresee it closing. I promise you, no one at Carnival who was working at Carnival, not even the executives, probably saw this being the thing, okay? That is like not something that was like, hey, we're gonna have a pandemic that completely shuts it down, like all of it, for a while. I mean, now they have plans, they have contingencies, they've got all kinds of things that they have modeled and done. By the way, funny thing, first thing that they did was drew down all of their credit. Turned everything into cash, which I find it ironic because, again, being someone who helps people become entrepreneurs, I often hear, well, especially during times like this, I don't want to use my credit line because I might need that. Well, that's exactly why you need to use it right now and convert it to cash, because tomorrow it might be gone. And it was the very first thing Carnival did, like literally. And understand, for those of you who don't know, Carnival is the corporation, and all of their brands is approximately 47% of the entire cruise industry, which anyway, it's just amazing, what's out there. So I can't say that any particular industry is coming back. I can say they're all changing, morphing, and becoming something different, right? Becoming something different. But that's also why I've also said where there is chaos, there's cash flow. So that's very, very true. And now we're all seeing it. We're all seeing it. Best service for the least cost. Okay, so Sandy likes good and cheap. So that means you're okay with slow. You can't expect it to be fast. Okay, because you only get 2, you don't get 3, Sandy. Good things okay, yes, good. I definitely slant towards good. It is offered in a combination. Okay, yes. Okay, I like this, what James is saying, because he and his wife, they do they design a lot of our units. Who knows, maybe one of these I'll show you guys. Anyway, it says our service is good, fast, and cheap, and is offered in a combination of any 2 of the 3. Exactly. That it's like, hey, we can make it whatever, we can make it fit for your needs. So if it's fast and good, it ain't cheap. If it's good and cheap, it ain't fast. And if it's cheap and fast, it's not good. That's exactly my point. We are always making this decision. Sean says he slants towards good. Excellent. I love it. Megan, she understands the water. Love it. Never choose cheap. Well, Sean, there are times where we do choose cheap. Think about it. Sometimes when you're looking at gas prices, right? Or when you're choosing who does the repairs on your vehicle, right? In the automobile industry. Let me think some other common places where we're always trying to be like just cheap and done. I was gonna say clothing, but not not insurance. Insurance, specifically automobile insurance. Everybody, so many people, like, what's the state minimum? And then how can I get the least expensive state minimum policy? Everybody. We choose cheap way too frequently in some cases, and that's definitely one that we should not be choosing. I just had the same issue on YouTube and switched over to I have no idea why. We've had a stable stream today, guys. And hopefully the audio. Well, I don't know if the audio was ever bad, but hopefully it's even better today. I don't really know. We're trying some new things there. Exactly. It's time to maximize your skills. Yes, Nikki, that has been exactly what yes, it's time to gain a new skill or more or 12, which is how, and part of the reason why it was like, okay, cool. Could I be consistent enough to keep going live for 30 days straight? That sounds hard. It does. And here we are. I'm halfway there. I'm pretty excited about it. And in the process of doing that, I've had to gain new skills on being able to make it easier and easier and easier to keep coming up with content, to keep hopefully making it somewhat interesting, learning how to make the stream better, more interactive. That's why when you subscribe on Facebook, there's a notification now. Or like James just did, that was perfect timing, James. You click and then that happened. So, and we're gonna get better and better at it. But you gotta start. And that's the thing. Whatever's going on in your life, you still have to start. It's time to build the 2.0 version, 3.0 version, 12.0 version. It doesn't matter. We all are in the process of becoming, right? And I think we did that on day 2, where we talked about that. Okay, so hey, Deborah, how are you? Cheryl, I wish I would have realized how vulnerable a business was going to be depending on one type of customer. What a life learning lesson as an entrepreneur. Absolutely. Single points of failure are crazy dangerous. And we don't think about it. I grew up, Cheryl, a military kid. Army and Air Force is the majority history of our family. I was one of the few to actually not go in the service, but I've been around it all my life. And single points of failure are not tolerated there. They're just not tolerated there. It is by default redundant. And that concept is something that I've always thought about and kept with me. It's one of the many reasons I like real estate, is not because of walls. I could care less about that. It's redundant, right? I can have multiple locations, thus multiple pieces of income, right? I can serve multiple people with the same property. This is where short-term rentals comes in, because travel is toast for a little minute. All right, what else can we do? That's why we're hosting nurses and people whose houses have flooded, and we've even started making inroads with some larger hospital organizations. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about that one day. So there are things that we would not have ordinarily pursued or done, but have always been there. And that's why it's a very resilient business strategy, is because there's 45 different customer types or use cases, if you will, for short-term rentals. And they're not all connected to business travel, which is fine. In fact, from the short-term rental perspective, here's the thing that if you happen to know someone, Cheryl, I'm kind of being funny, but I know. Anyway, we should be expecting regional travel. Where our customers are coming from is going to change for a little while, because it's going to be a while before international travel is normal again, and the new version of normal, because indefinitely, at least until there's a vaccine. At least until there's a vaccine. And for those of you wondering, like, why am I saying that, or where am I getting that from? Is he just making that up? No, I don't know if you listened to or saw Johnson & Johnson, the organization, their company. If you listened to their report yesterday, if you listened to it, they clearly said, we expect, and they were excited about it, by the way, we expect, assuming all of these things happen, there were a whole bunch of things that they listed out. The first thing being human trials not starting till September when it came to a vaccine. They were like, yeah, if we can hit that mark, meaning we can start in September, great. Now, that's assuming that happens. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff. They were like, yeah, by January 2021, we should have somewhere on the order of 600 to 800 million doses of a vaccine. So hear everything I just said. It's not January. We're not near January. And if everything goes right, that's what they're hoping to be able to do. And then said, by the end of 2021, we hope to be at a capacity of being able to produce 1 billion a year. Why? Because they're building the factory right now. There's so many things that are going on. It's just going to take time. Here's why this is important, and why I'm saying this, and why we've been doing these streams, and why this is what it is for your business to understand. Is even though that's happening, which is a good thing, it's going to change how travel works for a while, right? So, and again, we don't even have the test to prove this whole antibody thing. We don't even know how strong of a resistance that is. Like, are you truly immune? But let's just assume that you are, and once you get the test, you know. There'll be a group of individuals who can, quote unquote, as Southwest would say, are free to move about the country. They'll be able to go places. Understand, you won't be able to go if you're not one of them, because the country is not going to let you in because you have the potential of either bringing it or dropping it off in some way, shape, or form. That's going to be interesting to navigate from a business standpoint, but it's not going to stop travel. It's just going to change it. What it means is regional travel is going to be everything. What it means is, and here's something you just may not know, leisure travel comes back first, and it comes back with a vengeance after recessions. And the longer this goes, the greater that spring back is going to be, specifically around leisure travel. So all of that's just information. And who knows, maybe another day what we'll do is I'll take you through what I call the DIP process. It's data to information to interpretation process. I never figured out another thing for the P. Anyway, so that you can see how I'm making these interpretations based upon what the news or newspapers and outlets are saying, so that I know how to move. And more importantly, in my case, there are a lot of people who are hoping to understand how to position their business so that it benefits from it. And so one of the things that I actually enjoy it, it's kind of fun, is to break down the news and to show you, hey, there's the opportunity. It's right there in front of you. You just, have to learn how to uncover it. But that's all of this is happening right now. Therefore, it's not going to be quote unquote fast in the sense of how we interpret fast, right? It's just not going to be like that. But it will be different, and we are prepared for it or preparing for it. How can you take advantage of that difference, right? That's the part that gets exciting to me. But single points of failure, yeah. Cheryl, I hear you. Stream is great on my end. Excellent. Al, I need to talk to you, and thank you for that. Thank you for that comment about this being excellent content. So, because again, the goal, there's so much coming at all of us right now. You could be paralyzed. Now, I'm hoping to give you that, I don't know, I would say shot of adrenaline, but that's probably the wrong thing. But I just don't want you to be stuck. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to feel all of the emotions. That's fine. But that's why you're developing courage. That's fine. You can't be courageous without fear. Fear is a necessity. It's a component of courage. If you ever wanted to be courageous, brave, all that stuff, cool, you must first feel afraid. Yay, check. You are on the way. And now, what we will continue to do is to help you build you. Like I said, tomorrow, what we're going to be talking about very specifically is all around how to pivot. Like, there are certain questions, if you will, of how you need to pivot. Like that, if you ask yourself these questions about your business or an existing business, it'll help you figure out what it is that you need to do, who you're going to be serving in the new version after the crisis. It's just going to help you, and we're going to give you five categories and a whole bunch of questions is basically what's going to happen. I'm going to give you 5 categories, a whole bunch of questions to ask. For those of you watching who are in our roadmap program, we're not only going to do that, we're also going to go through a workbook as well, so that you can have your own customized plan for each of your geographic areas relative to your short-term rental business. So, but for most everybody, you'll have the 5 categories and a whole bunch of questions that will help you to pivot, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? All right, so here's the time. This is the time of the stream where here's what I want you to do. Write down one thing, just one thing, please. Just one good thing that you learned, something that helped you in some way, shape, or form understand, keep going, something that benefited you today from this. If nothing, cool. Nothing's fine. You won't hurt my feelings because that's still feedback and I can improve. But if there is one thing, write it in the chat, because the people that are watching, they're probably will learn from that, and the people watching the replay also will learn from that as well and may be able to glean something. Again, if you haven't already, please get over to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary Live, because we want to make sure that you don't, quote unquote, get left behind. As you heard, with all of the stuff going on, one of the things we've been doing is consolidating where we're going live, which means it's more of you're going to have to come to us, because we were trying to just come to you, but we need you to come over to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary Live, or you can get over to our YouTube channel because we're there as well. And if you want more information specific to just short-term rentals, by all means, get over to cashflowdiary.com/learn live. Again, that's cashflowdiary.com/learn live. All right, let's find out what you guys learned today. If hopefully something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe nothing, but I guess we're about to find out, did you learn something or not? So hopefully you've typed something in the chat, and even if it's only just one person, today will have been worth it. That is what I will say. So it doesn't have to be all of you, just so long as if there's something there that benefited you, something that will help you in order to keep building your business. Ladies and gentlemen, how do I say this? I just appreciate those of you who keep showing up. hopefully you shared. Hopefully this is helping in some way, shape, or form. And I know I'm learning a lot, and I thank you for caring. I thank you for caring about your family, your friends, your just life in general, and that you're not letting the events happen to you, but you're learning, building, and most importantly, choosing the direction that you are going to go next. And it feels really wonderful to know that maybe we're 0.00001% of your choice, but that you are allowing us to influence you in that way. So nonetheless, we definitely appreciate your time being here. Don't want to take any of that for granted in any way, shape, or form. We look forward to serving you again really, really soon. And as I always say, it's been fun serving you guys today. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Until next time.